My mom has always loved my younger sister more than me. Even then, I did my best to support my mom because I owed her for raising me. However, as soon as it was decided that my sister was coming back, my mom instantly cut me off. She shouted at me, "Get out, you parasite! If that's what you want, I won't put up with you anymore. If you want to do this, I'm going to make up for all the grudges I've had against you." My name is Emily, and I'm 28 years old. After graduating from college, I worked for a not bad company and lived with my mom. My dad passed away a few years ago, and my sister is already married and has a family. Originally, I was going to live alone too, but my sister's marriage was decided before mine. I couldn't leave my mom alone, so I still live here with her. Thinking back, my mom always adored my younger sister. My younger sister, Selena, is the complete opposite of me. She is cute and stylish. The only drawback I have with her is that she has a crooked personality. The amazing thing about her is that even her bad personality was covered up by her looks. She's a good-looking girl on the outside, so it's like she's living her life dexterously. My sister is the complete opposite of me, whose only merit is her earnestness, but she seems to be quite lovely to my mom. After my sister got married and left home, my mom often complained about me. She said, "Oh, no. I wish I could live with Selena instead of you. Why is Selena so pretty, but you have nothing to offer? Oh my god, I want to see Selena. I'm tired of seeing your face." Even now, I'm working to support this family. Why does she have to be so mean to me? Hey, Mom. I know you think Selena is cute, but you don't have to say that much. When I interrupted her in disgust, my mom got pissed off. What? If you were as good as Selena, I wouldn't have to go through this every day. What do you mean, you don't have to go through this? You don't have any problems in your life, do you? We've been living in this house since Dad passed away. What's with that tone? You're not thinking you're doing me a favor by saying I did this for you, are you? I didn't mean it that way. Okay, I have no choice but to live with you. If Selena hadn't got married, I would be living with her, not you. Huh. Okay, that's enough. We now live in a house that was rebuilt a few years before my dad died. It's now in my mom's name, but I'm the one making the remaining loan payments. But my mom always compares me to my sister and insults only me. I was at the end of my rope, living with my mom, who said hateful things to me every time she saw my face. Yet, there's a reason why I didn't give up on my mom. When my dad died, she cried for days. She didn't eat well and was so exhausted that people around her were so worried about her. I, as her family, have to support my mom from now on. I must protect my mom for my dad's sake. That is what I thought. As her eldest daughter, I've always had a strong sense of responsibility. Nowadays, I often get angry at my mom's words and actions. But after my dad passed away, my mom was the only parent I had. I couldn't hate her from the bottom of my heart. Then, one day, suddenly, my sister came to our house with her husband. As soon as she saw my mom, she said something outrageous. "Mom, we're having a hard time making ends meet." My sister was in tears, and my mom looked worried. She said, "Life is tough? What the hell is going on?" "My husband suddenly got laid off, and we can't afford to pay the apartment rent." "What? That's horrible." "I can only rely on you, Mom. If it's okay with you, I want to live with you." "Selena, this isn't good." I realized instantly, but it was already too late. Before I could interject, my mom had already said yes. Yes, yes, yes. My lovely Selena is in trouble. I have to help." "Really, Mom?" "Of course. Besides, I've always wanted to live with you." "Wow, thank you. I love you, Mom." My mom was overjoyed to hear my sister saying, "I love you." They agreed on their own, without any consideration of my opinion. I wasn't satisfied with this, so I went to my mom and said, "Hey, wait a minute, Mom, I live in this house too." My mom said, "So?" She didn't change her expression at all. "I can't have two people moving in here all of a sudden. I have my own room." "I don't care what you think. The house is on my name, right?" "That's true, but..." I tried to talk back, but my mom sighed and said, "If you have such a problem with it, you should get out of the house." "What?" I froze at my mom's sudden remark. "What are you talking about? Didn't you hear me? I told you to leave. In the first place, you're nothing more than a replacement for Selena for me, you know?" "That's horrible. You don't have to talk to me like that. I don't want to parasite like you. If Selena comes back, I don't need you." My mom told me so clearly, and I was blinded by the darkness. I knew my mom adored my sister. I've been taking care of my mom all my life, and to have her cut me off so easily... My sister, who left my mom after marriage without thinking, was loved so much. And I, who have supported my mom for so many years, was treated unreasonably. I really didn't understand every single thing my mom said and did. I was so frustrated and miserable that I almost burst into tears. My sister, seeing me like this, opened her mouth with a sly sneer. She said, "Mom also said this. Sis, why don't you get the hell out of here?" "What?" She said, "If you don't leave, there won't be room in the house, right? We don't need you." "What do you mean you don't need me? I'm the one who has been supporting Mom until now." So what? She wants to live with me, right? We don't need you anymore. You're trash." With that out of the way, Selena called my mom and her husband, and together they began to plan a schedule for the move. Even though I was hurting right beside her, "I am so happy. Let's have grilled meat on the day we move in." "Wow, you're so nice. I'll get the ingredients." Everyone was so excited that my presence was like nothing to them. As I stood there in shock, I heard my sister cursing at me again. "Hey, what are you doing just standing there like that? I told you to get out of here." "But you can't just say that. We don't need you, parasite. Get the hell out of here and give us some room." "I'll be out by the end of the week. That should be fine, right?" I struggled to keep my voice down and finally complied. Meanwhile, my mom was planning a short trip with my sister. "You'd better move out by the time we get back from our trip, okay?" With those final words, my mom left with my sister and her husband. To my mom, I was just a distraction, so as long as Selena was there, I really didn't matter. "If you're willing to do that, I won't put up with it anymore. If it comes to this, I'm going to put you through hell." No longer feeling sympathy for my mom, I was determined to take revenge. From that point on, it was quick. I immediately contacted a moving company and quickly moved in while my mom and my sister were away. The movers asked me curiously, This one too?" "Yes." "I heard you're moving alone. May I move all the stuff in the house?" "Yes. Please make sure everything is clean." I returned to them with a big smile. I was moving to the company housing. I heard that the company housing was still available, and the company invited me to move in several times, but I refused because my mom was there. This time, I found out there were still vacancies and decided to start the move-in procedures immediately. I never expected to start my company housing life in this way, but when I finally moved in, I immediately liked it. The room was even nicer than I had imagined. I was getting used to my new life in company housing. When I checked my phone, I found that I had received an incoming call from my mom and sister. The voicemail message said, "Show up at my house now." I had expected this, but the number of incoming calls was far more than I had imagined. I knew that if I ignored the messages, they might show up at work, so I went by my mom's house on my way home from work. When I opened the door, I found my mom and sister waiting for me with a fierce look on their faces. They said, "Hey, what the hell is going on? There's nothing in the house. Even my favorite refrigerator and toaster. Where did you take them?" I responded calmly, amazed at their ranting and raving. "Where?" "To my new house." "What do you mean? Don't take it without permission." "Yeah, give it back now." "Give it back? Why?" "Why? What are you—" "The furniture and appliances belong to Mom, didn't they?" My sister's comments made me burst out laughing. "What's so funny?" "I'm so sorry. I just thought you were misunderstanding," my sister said. "What do you mean?" She raised her voice. I decided to explain the facts to her. "I don't know what you know, but I bought all the furniture and appliances here. Since I'm moving out, I'm supposed to take my stuff with me, right?" "What? What do you mean?" I said, "All the furniture and appliances that were left in this house. I bought them with my own money. Do you understand?" "But that doesn't mean you should take it all with you. It was here from the beginning." "What I do with my things is my business, right? Can you please stop fussing about it?" My sister was huffing and puffing and staring at me with a devilish look on her face. And the money in the bank was zero. I couldn't use Mom's credit card when we were on vacation, so I had no choice but to borrow money from a cash advance to pay for the trip. "Oh, really? So? You took all the money in the bank, didn't you?" "Of course, because it was my money. What's wrong with taking it all?" When I lightly provoked her, my sister turned to me and shouted, "Don't play with me!" She was getting closer and closer to me, her face turning red as she yelled at me. "Give me back the money! That bank book should have contained Dad's insurance money." What are you talking about?" "It's not in there." "No way! When I came to this house before, there was a lot of money in there." "That was just me supplementing my income with a portion every month. It's just that it's been accumulating." "What do you mean? Then what about Dad's insurance money?" "It's gone a long time ago. Your favorite mom spent it all." As I said that, my sister turned her head back to my mom. My mom quickly turned her head away and made a face like, "Oh my God." "Wait a minute. Mom? Is it true?" "Well, that's—" my sister asked fearfully, but my mom only mumbled. My sister, who had grown numb to the situation, yelled at my mom. "What the hell is going on? I came home because I thought Dad's insurance money was in this house." Trying to calm Selena, who lost her temper, my mom muttered, "Calm down." "How could I calm down? It's your fault for spending Dad's money, isn't it? What are you going to do about it?" "Wow, I was just happy that you and I could live together again. You came back because you wanted to live with me too, right?" "Huh? You've got to be kidding me. I only came back to pay off my debt." "Debt?" As I found out from the conversation between my mom and sister, it seems that my sister and her husband became addicted to gambling, and they ended up with a large amount of debt. In an attempt to repay the debt, they took to gambling again, but the debts continued to mount. Her husband wasn't able to go to work and was fired from his job in the name of restructuring. My sister and her husband, who were neck deep in huge debts, had came back to this house for our dad's insurance money. My mom, unaware that she was being taken advantage of by my sister, kicked me out of the house on the spur of the moment. And this is the result. Now you understand, don't you? There's no more insurance money for our dad in this house. All that is left is the mortgage. I'm going to leave now, and you guys will pay the rest of the mortgage, okay? Then, Unexpectedly, my sister came running up to me with tears in her eyes. She said, "Wait a minute, sis. My husband and I both have debts. There's no way we can pay the loan." "That is none of my business. And you wanted to live with your mom, didn't you?" "No, I didn't know this was happening. Mom always said she wanted to live with you too. So, I'm so happy for you." "Oh, no. Wait, don't go, Emily." "Right, Emily, please stay here. Oh, for God's sake." I shook off my clinging mom and sister with all my might. I've supported you, Mom, in this house all my life. I even paid the mortgage on the house. But you only favor Selena, and when she comes back, you said, "Get out of here, parasite." Are you kidding me? She is not a cute little sister. She is just a human parasite. I will never come back to this house again. Mom, Selena, you guys will have to live in debt at best. With these words, I left my parents' house. My mom and sister clung to me until the very end, but I had no reason to listen to them anymore. It has been almost a month since then. My mom and sister, who were impatient, began to work part-time in day jobs. Even so, there was no way they would have enough money. In the end, they had to sell the family home and move to a cheap apartment where they fought every day. Selena said, "Mom, it's because you said you were going to kick her out. I could have used her if you had let her stay there." My mom said, "What? I did it to make room for you guys." "What? You can't live without our money, can you?" "Oh, you too. You said sweetly that you wanted to live with me, but in the end, you're only after the money." "So what? You're worthless other than money." "What? Watch your mouth. Get out of here. You get out of here, you bitch." Now, they can barely get enough to eat for the day. They can't even afford to buy one clothing item. The three of them should get along and cooperate. They really are helpless people. As for me, on the other hand, I'm spending a fulfilling life at the company housing where I moved to. My commute to work is shorter than before, so I have more time to myself. I was shocked when I was kicked out of my parents' house, but now I would rather say, "Thank you for kicking me out." From now on, I want to spend my days happily, thinking only of my own happiness.
My name is Jessica. I'm a 35-year-old office worker. Since my husband Bob, who is 2 years younger than me, was transferred, we've been temporarily living with his parents. I stress, it's only temporary. Bob seems to enjoy living in his childhood home, but I am eager to find our own place and move out as quickly as possible. This is because I simply can't get along with my in-laws, especially my mother-in-law. She was always a nasty person, even before our marriage, but after living together, her attitude is more harsh than before.
"Jessica, haven't you gone shopping yet? You missed the supermarket's early bird sale. You can't even shop efficiently. Tisk, tisk."
I work from home with my company's permission, but I'm still working during weekdays. There's no way I could make time for my shopping at the supermarket's early bird sale time. Mother-in-law, as I've said many times, I work during the day, so I can't go shopping until after 5 p.m. Every time I say this, my mother-in-law criticizes me.
"Here she goes, so arrogant. Can't even have a child."
Bob and I don't have children. We haven't specifically checked at the hospital, so we don't know who is to blame. I wanted a child, but considering Bob's income, we couldn't afford the expensive fertility treatments. Even before moving in together, I was distressed by my mother-in-law's nasty remarks, but it was better when we were living separately. Living under the same roof day and night, I am exposed to her nasty remarks 24/7. My father-in-law doesn't directly make snide remarks, but he irritates me in a different way. He seems to believe that women over 30 years old are old lady, and treats me, a 35-year-old woman, as such.
"Hey, old lady, get me the ashtray. Why are you wearing a skirt? No one wants to see your legs."
I want to tell him, if I'm an old lady, what does that make you, who's turning 60? I'm not a pushover either, so I retort each time they make rude remarks about me. But that only leads to further deterioration of our relationship as they consider it bossy. There is always a tense atmosphere in the house, and I was already feeling the limit of living together. However, after the transfer, Bob started working more on weekends and going on more business trips, so we couldn't discuss moving out. Jessica, I have another business trip this weekend. Again? You just went on a business trip. This new branch seems to have a lot of business trips. Before his transfer, although he had to work overtime, there were hardly any weekend work or business trips. Can't be helped, right? The work changes with the workplace. Sure, things change when jobs change, but isn't this a bit much? Thanks to this, we are not even able to find a place to move, even though we were supposed to live with my in-laws temporarily. What if we had to live with my in-laws for a long time? I was afraid of that. But then, one day, something happened. As I was removing laundry from Bob's bag after his business trip, I found a piece of paper in his bag's pocket. It turned out to be a printout of an online booking from a travel website. I figured it was just the flight and hotel booking for his business trip, but when I read it more closely, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was a hotel reservation that included tickets to Disneyland for 2 people, and the date was yesterday. That is the day Bob was on a business trip. Of course, Bob's company has nothing to do with Disneyland. Sure, they deal in seafood, but that's as close as they get to Disneyland. It doesn't matter. This means that Bob was pretending to go on a business trip, when in fact, he was visiting Disneyland for 2 days. And the fact that the hotel reservation was for 2 people? There's no doubt he was with a woman. As I was reeling from the shock, I heard Bob humming in the shower. It's a small world after all. The well-known theme song of a famous ride. He must have been reminiscing about Disneyland and humming unconsciously. But it seems that attractions are not important in a fun and enjoyable affair trip. I was so angry that I was ready to charge into the bathroom and confront Bob. But just then, Bob's phone rang. I was too enraged to think clearly, so I answered the call without thinking. Hello? Hello? For a moment, I heard a young woman's voice, and then the call was abruptly cut off. Could it be? I was convinced. The call just now was no doubt from the woman Bob went to Disneyland with. In other words, Bob's mistress. When she heard my voice answering Bob's phone, she must have panicked and hung up. I checked the call history on his smartphone. Bob isn't really security conscious, so he doesn't bother to set a decent password. I figured his passcode would probably be his 4-digit birth date. And bingo! The phone was unlocked in no time. But looking through his smartphone made my head spin. Evidence of his infidelity was pouring out of it, unmistakable and overwhelming. The image files were full of selfies of him and a young woman. The dates the photos were taken were all days when Bob had been on business trips or working on his days off. I was amazed at his recklessness, even leaving pictures of their intimate moments. Looking at the call history again, I saw the name Melissa Smith, so I searched for the same name in his WhatsApp friends list and opened the chat screen. Bob, I love you. I want to be your wife soon. This woman, Melissa, seems to be hoping to marry Bob. A homewrecker, perhaps? As I was mulling this over, Bob came out of the bathroom. Ah, that's refreshing. Facing Bob, who came out nonchalantly, drying his hair with a towel, I confronted him right away. Refreshed, huh? Seems like you're feeling pretty refreshed in a lot of ways. Huh? Who is Melissa Smith? At the mention of his mistress's name, Bob flinched. So it's true. You've been lying about going on business trips, and instead, you've been going on trips alone with this woman, Melissa Smith? Were all your business trips and working days off just lies? Unforgivable. Why do you... How on earth? I pointed my smartphone at the upset Bob. All the evidence is right here in this smartphone. Hey, did you go snooping through my phone? That's a violation of my privacy. It's laughable that a man who's morally bankrupt enough to cheat can complain about privacy invasion. If you don't want it looked at, set a better password. Before we got married, I made a promise with Bob that he'd absolutely not cheat. I had declared to Bob that if he cheated, I'd leave him right away. Of course, my feelings haven't changed. I can't continue a marital life with a man who's playing around with another woman. Let's get a divorce. When I simply said that, Bob surprisingly agreed without objection. Yeah, I guess so. It was unexpected. I thought he would resist more. Was he ready for divorce once he was caught cheating? I'll get the divorce papers tomorrow. You tell your mom and dad. Got it. Bob's agreement was astonishingly nonchalant. However, once a declaration has been issued, it cannot be withdrawn, and it has no intention of doing so. Is this goodbye to married life? I felt a tinge of loneliness. The next day, I left the house early in the morning to get the divorce papers from the city office and to take care of some other errands. By the time I got home, it was already late at night. There in the house, my husband and his parents were waiting for me. So you finally come back. We were wondering how long you were going to wander around. The moment she saw me, my mother-in-law began to make snide remarks. Bob being present here means she should already know about Bob's cheating and our divorce. Isn't there something she should say, like an apology, before making a snide comment? But instead of an apology, my mother-in-law said something unbelievable. Well, it doesn't matter. At least you're finally leaving. We don't want to see your face anymore, so it's just as well you've been gone all day. What do you mean? With a smug smile, my mother-in-law responded to my question. Exactly as I said. I'm sick and tired of seeing your face. Finally, Bob has returned home, and you were just in the way. You're always back-talking, without any hint of charm, even when I tried to make you uncomfortable enough to leave. It took so long for you to get the hint. I finally had to resort to my ace in the hole. Ace in the hole? My mother-in-law gave a satisfied smile. You already know the name of Bob's girlfriend, right? Yes, something like Smith. Why was she checking if I knew the name of Bob's mistress? You see, I have a friend from my book club, Mrs. Smith. Her daughter is such a well-mannered, charming young lady. She's 10 years younger than you, only 25. At that age, she can have kids easily. Then my mother-in-law dropped a bomb. So I introduced Mrs. Smith's daughter to Bob. Excuse me? I was shocked. I never expected my mother-in-law to say something like this to me. Are you saying, mother-in-law, you arranged Bob's affair? Oh, arranged sounds so scandalous. I simply introduced them. I was completely taken aback by my mother-in-law, proudly talking about her own wrongdoings. I can't believe that a mother would induce her own son to cheat on her. And she is so proud to tell her son's wife about it. What a horrible mother. Well, I had no other choice. Bob is our only child. We need an heir. I would have even accepted you as my daughter-in-law if you'd had children. But all you did was work, never having any children. Next to my mother-in-law, my father-in-law also nodded in agreement. So he was aware of his wife's actions. Do you understand? A 35-year-old woman who can't even have kids is no longer needed. If you understand, then hurry up and leave. With a triumphant look, my mother-in-law pointed at me. After a moment of silence, I said, I see. I understand your views very clearly. I'll leave as you wish. I'll take all my belongings with me. Oh, please do. I doubt you have much to take with you anyway. Do you need help moving? My mother-in-law laughed and said, even though she didn't know anything. But I was the one who would have the last laugh. No, it's fine. Don't worry about me. Everything's already arranged. Huh? Since I wasn't crying or freaking out, my mother-in-law looked surprised. Besides, mother-in-law, I already know that you were helping Bob cheat on me. What? I smirked at my mother-in-law. What do you think I've been doing all day? If I just went to the city hall to get divorce papers, it wouldn't have taken this long. I spent all day arranging for a move and meeting with Melissa Smith. Oh my God. You met with Melissa? Bob asked me in a panic. So what? Did you think I would let you cheat behind my back and not say a word to the other woman? I made sure to note down her phone number when I checked your phone yesterday, I said calmly. Poor Melissa, though. She was really surprised when I called her and said, I'm Bob's wife. I'd like to meet with you. Apparently, you've been lying to her, saying that you're single. I told her the whole truth. Bob, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law were all shocked. They never would have thought I'd pull something like this off in just one day. Melissa found out that she was the other woman in your affair, and she was really upset. Of course, Mrs. Smith was furious too, at Bob and at you, mother-in-law. She was talking about suing you both for marriage fraud. I couldn't help but sympathize with her, so I promised I'd help as much as I could. What? Bob was visibly shaken. Of course, my mother-in-law was in the same state. Given the many ways in which Melissa deserves sympathy, I've decided not to claim any compensation from her. Instead, I'll increase the amount I claim from you, Bob, and you, mother-in-law, and father-in-law.
Compensation? Why the hell do we have to pay damages?
My father-in-law blurted out in panic.
It's one thing if it's just Bob, but we have nothing to do with this.
He seemed to have expected his son to pay some compensation for his affair, but they never dreamt that they themselves would pay. Are you going to take the best part without getting hurt? There's no such thing. Of course you do. The emotional distress caused by your harassment is more than enough reason, don't you think? As I said this with a smile, my father-in-law fell silent. And have you forgotten what I do for a living? I work at a law firm. Why don't I consult with my boss, the attorney, and see just how much we can squeeze out of you in compensation? I had already informed my attorney at the firm about the situation.
What?
Then the sound of a car pulling up in the driveway was heard. Oh, they're here.
Hey there, this is a moving service.
I headed to the door with a warm smile on my face. Thanks for having you come at late time. Sorry for the sudden request.
No problem. We had a spot open for the night shift.
It actually worked out for me as well. I managed to get some other things done, so please get started right away. Oh, and be careful. There are some fragile items. As I invited them in, several movers began to shuffle into the house and start gathering the belongings.
Wait! Hold on!
Following my instructions, they began to pack up my things with a swift and efficient rhythm. Not just my clothes, books, and computer, but even the appliances in the living room and kitchen.
Hey, you guys, don't take that. That's ours.
No. I brought everything here when we moved in. They're all mine. When Bob and I first moved here because of his job transfer, all the appliances in the in-laws' house were old ones that they'd been using for ages. I couldn't bear it and had our appliances shipped over from our previous apartment. Now it seemed that my mother-in-law had gotten used to the latest appliances and mistaken them for her own. A robotic vacuum and cordless cleaner, a high-end oven range capable of various cooking methods, an induction cooktop, a negative ion hairdryer, and an espresso machine.
You're taking everything? You greedy woman!
Mother-in-law lunged at me, but Bob stopped her.
Mom, it can't be helped.
But it's all Jessica's. It seemed that Bob had accepted the situation. However, it seemed that my mother-in-law wasn't ready to give up just yet. Once you know the superiority of the latest appliances, you can't go back, right? If you're dissatisfied, why don't you buy new ones? Though, after paying the compensation, it seems unlikely that you'll have enough money to buy new high-end appliances. While this was going on, the movers were rapidly moving my stuff into their truck under my direction. They bowed to me and hopped into the truck. Okay, I'll be heading to the new address as well. Please make sure everything gets there. As I watched the moving truck drive off, I got into my car. Of course, this car is also mine.
Where is that truck going?
Bob asked. Huh? Of course, I'm taking it to my apartment. The one I lived in before you were transferred. My apartment. The apartment I bought when I was single was listed for sale with a realtor due to Bob's job transfer. However, because the asking price was too high, it never sold, and I still own it. The realtor suggested lowering the price several times, but I'm glad I didn't. I never imagined this would happen. As I fastened my seatbelt, I laughed softly. But maybe, just maybe, I predicted this would happen deep down. What? Bob made a face as if he didn't understand. Because I set a selling price higher than the market rate to make sure it wouldn't sell. This way, I could always move back to my apartment. Upon hearing my words, Bob seemed to crumble from the knees.
You, such a bitch!
Feeling sure of my victory and letting my guard down, I was suddenly shoved by my mother-in-law, who rushed at me yelling. As I groaned in pain, my mother-in-law attempted to throw a cutting board at me for a follow-up attack, but was suddenly tackled by a black object and fell down yelling, "Ah!" Thank you, Blackie. Holding the black object, a stray cat named Blackie, I got in the moving truck and hurried to my new place to escape from my mother-in-law. I don't know why Blackie, the stray cat, was there at that moment, but I'm sure he came to help me because he has a strong sense of justice. I'll give him some catnip as a gift later. After that, Bob and I divorced. The law firm I work at filed a lawsuit for compensation against Bob and his parents. It's a real blessing that the young lawyers in training at the office accepted my case for almost no fee at all. Even though a young new lawyer is in charge, I feel secure because they have the support of a senior lawyer. As for the lawsuit against Melissa Smith, the senior lawyer himself took on the case, not the trainees. He said he will file both criminal and civil lawsuits because of the high degree involved. He said he's excited to file a criminal lawsuit, as it's been a long time since he's done so. Even if they sell their house and pay to Melissa Smith and to me, it probably won't be enough. Thinking about the life of extreme poverty and debt waiting for the three of them, I can't help but grin. I'm alone now, but compared to living with those in-laws and my disloyal husband, it's like heaven. For a while, I want to enjoy the easy single life with Blackie, who I inadvertently brought to my apartment.